Ever since India hit the pause button on Operation Sindoor, there is one question on everyone's mind. Was it nuclear panic that sent Pakistan running to dial up the hotlines with the United States? If you ask the Indian generals, the answer is not in affirmative. But sometimes a lot can be said without turning up the amplifier. Sometimes the loudest of explosions are those that are smallest of blips on the decibel meter, like the one that hit the Mushaf air base right next to Kirana hills in Pakistan. Speculations are abuzz that India's precision strikes on May 10th hit Pakistan a bit too close for comfort, not far from the Kushab nuclear complex and the Sargodha air base. The ridge of stone on your screens, where a plume of smoke can be seen, is believed to house over 10 underground tunnels. Tunnels that by most accounts store parts of Pakistan's nuclear arsenal. So what was it, this strike that triggered Pak meltdown? A clearer answer comes from Tom Cooper, who needs no introduction, a world-renowned war historian.
We also have hit 13 Pakistani military targets, including air bases. How much do you think these air bases have been damaged? And do you think this is what brought Pakistan? The combination of the entrance of the nuclear site, the combination with that of the air bases being destroyed, is this what made Pakistan actually bow down and seek American intervention?
Pakistan admitted its defeat. It admitted it cannot continue escalating. It must stop. Or actually, India must stop. So Pakistan has requested India to stop. What American or Western politicians and mass media are reporting in this regard is absolutely irrelevant, because what matters is that Pakistan requested the call. Pakistan made a call and requested the stop. And it wouldn't do so. Pakistanis are not, somebody who is going to bow like this and simply admit, we have been defeated. This is nothing they are doing usually. So therefore, conclusions are de facto on hand. You have a Pakistani nuclear weapons facility hit by Indian missiles. You have a number of Pakistani air bases hit by Indian missiles, and Pakistani Director of Military Operations calling New Delhi to stop.
Thank you for telling us that Kirana Hill houses some nuclear installation. We did not know about it. Okay. And we have not hit Kirana Hills, whatever is there. Okay. I did not brief in my briefing yesterday.
You heard the two comments, one by Tom Cooper and then the DGAO. And like I said, not everything is said out in the open. Dr. Ranganathan already smiling, but Abhijit, for people watching this broadcast, they want to know, is this the reason that the Pakistanis, dialed for help?
So, there's several reasons. Nothing is ever monocausal, and in this case, it was the accumulation of the threat. You see, what we did was at Noor Khan, which was their Crown Jewel air base. We managed to take out the entire technical area where their electronic situation monitoring, command and control was happening. There were also pilots stationed at the mess nearby who died. The second thing, and this is their absolute, Crown Jewel. Because it is their Crown Jewel, it is heavily defended by Chinese air defenses. We managed to overcome those as well. So, they keep talking about their integrated defense system and all of that. It failed spectacularly. On the other side, on India, they weren't able to show the image of a single strike. In fact, Chinese satellite provider Mirza Vision, which they were using, has actually proved all our strikes. So first was the caliber of damage. Second, Sargodha. Sargodha is the nuclear base which is near Kirana. It is the F-16 base which is used to carry the gravity bombs. They have like a crosshair. The runway is like a crosshair. We bombed it right in the center so they can't take off. They can't come back. If they've already taken off, they have to divert to a secondary base, which has very limited support, ammunition, all of that. So that was also out of the picture. The third was the strike on Kirana. Now, this raises so many questions, because technically, We have an agreement with them where on the 1st of January, we're meant to exchange information about each other's, the GPS locations of each other's bases. Sources are telling me that Kirana was never put on that list so that we don't attack it. So we saw that there's some suspicious activity happening out there. Did we target it? Did we not target it? I don't know. Maybe it was a signaling strike. I don't know. But in accumulation, you have attacked so many of their assets.
Right.
They're critical assets. It is the accumulation of the threat that has forced them to go.
Yeah, Marshal, what is a signaling strike?
See, most of it, right from the day one, we have been trying to send messages to Pakistan, signaling it to them that, listen, we are only wanting to dismantle your terror network. They did not pay heed to it. Next, they continued. Then we again said, we again struck, again signaling that we only struck their AD assets. Again, they continued. And then we were left with no choice but to go whole hog and do these strikes. We were very, very telling. As far as hitting their nuclear this thing is concerned, I'll go with DCAO that no, we didn't do it. But yes, the kind of strikes that were made were so hard. They all the major air bases which were housing the aircraft, carry the nuclear capable missiles, were hit. And the devastation was huge. And when we talk about Noor Khan was next to Islamabad, Rawalpindi, where their entire command control setups are there in and around. So the signaling was, if we can be so precise with this, then at any moment, at our own wish, we can hit whatever you have.
Right. Tushar, you know, people are talking less about Pakistan, more about Kirana Hills.
I think it's a wonderful tourism spot, just that the tourism isn't allowed there. It's a restricted space under the Ministry of Defense. And even if you explore the place on Google Earth, it houses a lot of bunkers. You can see some structures that you'll usually see around a nuclear reactor. And now the official word is that we have not attacked Kirana, so let's stick to the official word. On the damage on Sargodha was quite visible. Interestingly, a flight took off from Sargodha this morning and landed in Lahore, so I think they've got it back in operation to some extent. But here's the thing. The Prime Minister has called out the nuclear blackmail. Now, this is the interesting part. If you look at the air bases we have attacked altogether, be it the forward operating base or the ones in the mainland of Pakistan, as with deep as 350 kilometers from the international border, we are sending out a message that in case the escalation is beyond anyone's control, India has the capacity to take out all of Pakistan's air bases in one go, breaching all their air defense systems. Do not look at Noor Khan or Sargodha or Murid in isolation. Murid houses all the UAVs and UCAVs. Right. Their entire drone fleet is stationed at Murid. We hit Murid as well. So, you know, the message here is that we'll hit every single base. Think about this. We also hit Skardu up in north. And that is very integral to the CPEC infrastructure. So India, with this entire attack on May 10, what happened on the first day of Operation Sindoor when the 9 terrorist camps was attacked was one thing. But now that we have attacked their bases, the military bases in simultaneous fashion, I think that sends out a very, very strong message in itself.
And there is a video and there are, you know, satellite imagery, Tushar, you know, of what you're saying. Colonel RSN, Kirana Hills is just 7 kilometers from the Mushaf air base.
Yes, let me tell you, Pranesh, that they had drawn 4 red lines. If you see the first use policy of Pakistan, there are 4 red lines. That is, if you strike their major cities, if you stop the Indus Water or you abrogate the Indus Water Treaty or suspend it, if you carry out, you know, Karachi blockade. So we crossed, I mean, we defied at least 2 of these red lines. We struck Islamabad, isn't it? When you hit Noor Khan airfield, right. It was like striking Islamabad, and then you stopped. Before that, you stopped Indus Water Treaty. Now what has happened is, जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ थोड़ा सुन लीजिए इसको. This, when we stopped Indus Water Treaty, it was during the presence of J.D. Vance on Indian soil. And sir, normal times में इसको बहुत बड़ा diplomatic insult माना जाता है. Just like when Mr. Vajpayee was in China, you know, the Chinese attacked Vietnam, जिसकी बात आज तक लोग करते हैं. लेकिन वांस वहां से गए, वांस यहाँ से जाने के बाद, all through when these strikes were taking place, he kept saying that we are neutral, we have got nothing to do. And this was the American vice president saying. Right. So when we had struck everything nice and proper at those, you know, Kirana Hills जो आप बात कर रहे हैं, and you know those Jacobabad वहाँ पे जब अच्छे से उनको ठोक दिया, that is the time when Trump came out with that, you know, that tweet of his. Now I leave it to the viewers to draw their own inference, but I can tell you only one thing, that this kind of targeting and this kind of you know, offensive, you know, it has changed the, you know, entire concept of warfare.
It has changed the game.
This kind
Colonel
of an
Mahesh
aerial
Ramachandran,
offensive.
the buzz that you're hearing about Kirana Hills, what do you think of that?
Well, I think, Pranesh, that there can be no smoke without fire. There will be conjecture and speculation. But, you know, 2 earthquakes, one on a Richter scale of 4.4, one on 5.5, these are normally caused by nuclear cook-offs. But I will just hold myself from commenting on what happened. Definitely something has happened. But, you know, I am inspired by Anand Ranganathan. So allow me to paraphrase Robert Frost. You know, we have hit you hard and deep, but we have more promises to keep and miles to go before we sleep. Now, now coming to the nuclear bluff, Fateh 2, they launched, I think, a couple of days back, a Dud missile. We brought it down in Sirsa, a hypersonic 400-kilometer missile. I don't know how somebody came out with the theory that it is aimed at Delhi with 400 kilometers range. And, you know, this was just a bluff by Pakistan that, look, you know, we have this nuclear capability, etc. And the Prime Minister has called out their nuclear bluff yesterday. There are 2 things that the Prime Minister has said without actually saying them. One, that this ceasefire is, at best fragile, at worst void. And the other thing, he has sent a message to Donald Trump without naming Trump, saying that, look, I mean, talks, no talks with terrorists, and if at all we talk, we will talk only on terror and the return of POK. So what more is there, and what more needs to be said? So I think the nuclear bluff has been called out. Pakistan also realizes that you know, that if at all they get into a nuclear misadventure, then they will be taken out probably even before the missiles exit the Earth's atmosphere.
By the way, if I am not wrong, Robert Frost also said, I've never started a poem whose end I knew. But Dr. Ranganathan, what do you make of, you know, this, the Kirana Hill theory?
You know, when our bravest warriors at the presser, Atriji, or I think Bharti ji, that's right. When he said, I don't know what you're talking about Kirana, it reminded me of that dialogue from Sholay, where Jay tells Basanti, "Tumhara naam kya hai, Basanti?" It's a bit like that. So I think it was fitting and proper that we did not acknowledge what we might have or might not have done at Kirana. But the fact of the matter is there are hundreds of satellites who would have captured that instant. I'm sure of it. In fact, I'm sure that many Pakistani satellites would have captured it, or certainly Indian, Chinese would have captured it. Secondly, I'll just end by saying that a theorist has to be right every time. A conspiracy theorist only once.
Major Punia? किराना बहुत चल रहा है. किराना में क्या हुआ? स्मोक भी है, फायर भी है, वीडियो भी है.
So, Pranesh, जैसे कि मेरे सीनियर्स ने कहा कि वो ये नहीं कहेंगे कि क्या हमने उनके न्यूक्लियर स्टैब्लिशमेंट या उनका जो स्टोरेज फैसिलिटी है उस पर हमने अटैक किया। लेकिन मैं आपको इसकी एक एनालॉजी देता हूं कि 2 दिन पहले रूबियो कह रहा है कि हमें मतलब नहीं है कि इंडिया पाकिस्तान आपस में अपनी बात करें, अपने हिस्से जो उनको करना वो करें। डोनाल्ड ट्रंप खुद कहता है कि उनके बीच में हजारों साल से लड़ाई चल रही है, वो जो उनको करना करें। और जब इंडिया ने उनके 2 जो बड़े वाले एयरबेस हैं, जो रहीम यार खान और दूसरा सरगोदा, जब उनके जो क्रॉस सेक्शन पे उन्होंने मिसाइल मारी और उनको और जो लाहौर है उसको उन्होंने तहस नहस कर दिया, उसके बाद में एक चीज बताइए कि अगर मिसाइल मारनी होती है और कहीं भी मार सकते थे, दूसरी किसी पहाड़ी पे तो नहीं मारा। पाकिस्तान में बहुत सारी पहाड़ियां हैं, लेकिन उसी पहाड़ी पे मारा है। और वो हम नहीं कह रहे हैं, वो पूरी दुनिया कह रही है, पूरी दुनिया की सैटेलाइट इमेजरी बता रही है। उसके बाद में वहां पे 2 जो लो स्केल जो अर्थक्वेक के जो आए हैं वो भी रात के टाइम, तो वो भी ये बता रहे हैं। उसके बाद में जो हमारे सोर्सेज हैं वहां पे पाकिस्तान में, वो ये कह रहे हैं कि किराना हिल के आसपास के पूरे 30 किलोमीटर की जनता को खाली करवा दिया है। पूरी जनता को फौज पुलिस के लोग न्यूक्लियर वाले जो कपड़े हैं जो पहन के वो जगह खाली करवा रहे हैं। तो ऐसा क्या हुआ वहां पे? क्या कोई लकड़ी जलाने के धुएं से तो लोग नहीं मर जाएंगे? क्या उनको निकालेंगे वहां से? बाकी हुआ क्या? जो हमारे एयर वाइस मार्शल भारती साहब ने कल कहा कि हमें नहीं पता कि किराना में क्या उनकी न्यूक्लियर फैसिलिटी है, वो आपके इन्फ्लुएंस पे है। आप सोचिए कि ऐसा क्या हुआ कि जिससे पूरी दुनिया में एक रात को अचानक यूएस कह रहा है कि हमें ऐसी अलार्मिंग और इमरजेंसी वाला एक इनपुट मिला है जिसकी वजह से हम इंडिया से बात कर रहे हैं। और
यूएस प्लेन भी वहां पे स्पॉट हुआ है और एक आई थिंक इजिप्शियन प्लेन भी था, Abhijit, if I'm not wrong. 2 planes have been spotted.
So 1 American plane, 1 Egyptian, allegedly carrying boron, which is usually used to help contain. Well, we don't know exactly what's happened. So, the thing is, if it is actually nuclear weapons grade uranium is extremely stable. Unlike what you see in that horrible movie Broken Arrow, where the core is exposed on the weapon, and John Travolta claims, I'm going to die. No, that's not what happens. In fact, weapons grade uranium is extremely pure. It is extremely stable. It has an extremely high half-life period, which means the effects on you are very low.
Travolta could not feel it. We should ask the Pakistanis,
yes, we should.
How they are feeling, and how's the joke?
Now, let me tell you what I suspect is happening out here. They're taking advantage of the signaling strike to claim radioactive leakage in order to send off all these alarm messages abroad. Exactly the way John Travolta did it in the movie. And just like that movie Broken Arrow, it seems to be a fundamentally wrong, laughably wrong overacting in their case, because the only thing that is that kind of radioactive is nuclear waste from reactors or civil nuclear fuel. So other than that, I really don't, this is the classic, I'm not going to use that word, but the famous Hindi word for overacting, RR, that is exactly what Pakistan is doing.
We've got the
graduates
message,
of that
Abhijit,
university.
Yeah, we've got it. We've got it. Viewers, I thank all of you for joining us. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on India Upfront. On the other side, the Tom Cooper interview with Navita Kumar. You don't want to miss that.